During this talk, I would like to give you an overview about Angular Universal, which is the official Angular module that adds support for server-side rendering and even more for your Angular 2 applications. So a better title, actually, for this talk would be running Angular outside the browsers, because Angular Universal allows you, we'll see during the talk, allows to fix a couple of issues related to server-side rendering. But as we will see, you can use it to do other cool things. But first, we will talk about server-side rendering with Angular Universal, because this is the most common issue that we as a front-end developer has to fix every day. So as I said, my name is Wassim Chegham. I work as a developer advocate at a company in France called Sphere. You can find me on Twitter as Manikineko, and also on GitHub. So during the day, I work as a developer advocate, and by night, I contribute to a lot of open source projects. So Universal is one of them, but there is other Angular 2 related projects, and also other projects like Polymer, Web Component, Web Bluetooth, and other stuff for Chrome APIs. I'm also part of the Google Developer Expert Program. We are a couple of us here. And now it's your turn, so I would like to ask you something. Just say hi to your neighbors, introduce yourself. 5 seconds, go ahead. Shake hands to your friends. Nice. You there, nobody's saying hi. Okay, so I would like you to keep discussing, talking about Angular, sharing Angular knowledge during the break. So please do me this favor. Now, let's get back to our talk. So why should we care about server-side rendering? So as I said, the most obvious and most common reason is SEO, search engine optimization. So do you all know what is this? Who doesn't know SEO, about SEO? Okay, you all know. Who has already tried to implement SEO with Angular 1? Okay, as expected, nearly nobody, three people. This is because it's really hard to implement with the current, maybe the frameworks that are 3 or 4 years old. And AngularJS was one of them. So you had to set up really huge server-side process using tools like render and try to generate static HTML files for every view, which is kind of hard. But with Angular Universal, as we will see, things is really, really easy. So if you have a public-facing website, like e-commerce or stuff like that, you really need to add SEO support for a website. Otherwise, if you need customers, you need to engage customers. You need to have more and more customers. You need to be indexed by search engines, whether it be Google, Yahoo, or Microsoft, or Bing. Another reason we might use server-side rendering for is link preview. So you probably notice this someday when you share your link on your favorite social media. You get some sort of preview of your page. This is because the website that you're trying to share has server-side support. If this site doesn't have any server-side support, you might have a blank page or anything that your index HTML is rendering your app shell. But it's kind of cool. It's not that serious, but we can do better, But to me, one of the most important reasons we need to provide server-side support for is this thing that we call the web app gap. So let me explain what is web app gap. So first, it deals with us trying to improve our TTI, the time to interactive. So time to interactive is the time that your customer, that your user needs to start interacting with your application. So web gap. So here I'm going to explain all the basics, how server and client works. So when you try to, when you enter the URL of any website, then the server sends back the HTML content with all the resources, all the images, CSS, JavaScript files, and then the browser goes through all those assets and download them, and then it parses your JavaScript, may probably find your Angular 1 application, parses it, run it, bootstrap it, and then probably your Angular needs some data, so it goes and fetches all the data it needs before drawing pixels on the screen, before painting. And then during all this time, which might take up to 20 seconds, the user doesn't see anything on the screen. It's a blank, it's a gap. So I had a little YouTube video. Let me just refresh the page. Okay, it doesn't matter, lost Wi-Fi. I will share the slides later on so you can check the video. So here basically I had a little demo that illustrates this kind of web app gap on a known social media network. I'm not gonna tell which is. But really here we're trying to avoid the loader. I think life is short to stay and stare at these loaders, so we really need to kill them, seriously. Otherwise, we'll end up like this thinker man. So how this gap is being fixed currently with the modern JavaScript frameworks. So typically, if you take back this process, when the server sends back all the HTML, all the assets, what the most common JavaScript frameworks do is they render on the server the app shell, the initial view of your page, and then sends back this page, this UI. And then the client takes over, pushes up the application. But what's interesting here is that the user sees something on the screen, like the information he or she came to find. So whether text, images, form, anything, but it's not loader. It's really real information. Sorry. So these are a couple of frameworks that implements this feature, the server-side rendering feature. So we have Next, the render. This is a tool that you can use currently with Angular 1 applications. We have also Vue.js and a couple of them. And now, the good news is Angular 2 is able to do the same thing, renders on the server and provide the view for the users. So how does this work? Because we have Angular Universal. If Angular Universal is able to do all these things, it's because how Angular 2 is designed. So what you should know is Angular 2 is not tied to the DOM anymore. So when you write your Angular 2 application, with your annotation, your metadata, your class, JavaScript, all the things, the templates, everything gets compiled and gets parsed and compiled by the template compiler, which let's say lives in the applications layer, and then generates some sort of data structures. We then get passed to the right renderer. So for the browser, Angular comes with the default renderer, with DOM renderer, because this is 90% of the cases. But also, Angular is able to run outside a DOM context, for instance, web workers. So for this, we have another renderer. And for the server, Angular Universal provides a set of renderers and pre-renderers. So by default, we provide you with a Node.js renderer. We'll talk about the other backend technologies later on. So we took the classic to-do app, and we ran it through Universal. So here, as you can see, so here I'm throttling the network. I'm using 4G, like simulating 4G network. And as you can see, even at 4 seconds, I still don't have any content on my page. Like, I almost started having the initial contents after almost 5 seconds. So this is not running Universal, but with Universal, you can see that almost instantly, like after 500 milliseconds. This is because the server already generated the page for me. So until now, so it's cool. We have server-side rendered like the other frameworks. But how do we deal with states? Because when the server generates the view, from like depending on the route, send it back to the client, and then Angular bootstraps. But after between them, like user loses states, because like imagine the user starts searching for something before Angular bootstraps. We need to avoid these UX mistakes. So how does Angular Universal deal with state swapping? So when Angular Universal renders your page on the server, it injects a small program. I'm going to page up. It's called preboot.js, and this program basically records everything that happens on the client, on the browser. Like this is, by the way, you can configure all the events, so you can tell preboot.js to listen for like key press, mouse down, all those events every time the user interacts with your page, while Angular is still bootstrapping. And then, when Angular bootstraps, it launches your application, and then preboot will try like to synchronize both states. So for instance, if your user gets the first page from the server, starts typing in something in like the search box, after like, let's say 2 seconds, 3 seconds, Angular bootstraps, we swap the UI, and then we sync the search, so we like replay all the events, basically. So this way, the user isn't lost. So I will show you some code how we recommend like structuring your universal app. This is basically, well, I will talk about the tools later, but this is basically what you get from the tool we will provide. So basically, you will start with your normal application, Angular 2 application, nothing fancy here. And then you will provide 2 pipelines to bootstrap your browser context and your server context. So here, the diagram, I'm using the app node modules file name. So obviously, this is for Node.js. But probably for other backend technologies, this may change. If you are using like Java, you will not be using JavaScript on the server, or maybe Bootstrap with any other Java class. Oh, sorry. So here's your typical component, nothing fancy, as I said. And then you would provide a browser module. So I hope everyone is familiar with modules in Angular 2. You should check iStock. So here, what's really important is you will use the universal module from the universal package. And since we are bootstrapping the browser module, you will import the universal browser module, which basically gives you some basic modules like the browser, HTTP, and other modules, but with some universal sugar on top of it. And for the server, here with Node.js, you would import the universal module from the Node package, and then import it in your package. And here, because we're bootstrapping the server-side parts of the application, we provide you with some modules for Node, like, for instance, Node HTTP would override some browser HTTP APIs, like fetch, like XHR, for instance. And then, so you have your two models. Now you need to bootstrap them. So for the client, this code might seem familiar to you if you are using the CLI. But there is a small difference here. Instead, we are using the platform universal dynamic and not browser dynamic. And then, there's some boilerplate here. You need to invoke the platform universal dynamic and then wait for the browser, for the DOM to load, and then run your application. And interesting part here is with the server. So as you might know, Node.js is a rich ecosystem, have so many backend frameworks. So here we are giving you a sample with for Express.js. So all what you need to do is import the custom engine we provide you for Express.js, register it with your HTML files. So Express knows how to deal with the Angular templates. And then you register your routes with your Angular configuration, universal configuration. The last part is just your index.html, which is common one. So there is one small thing that we really recommend you not to do, is to never touch the DOM directly. So if you're used to document.query selector or window that, I don't know, cookies, please, for the render part, actually, please use the renderer that Angular provides you, like the DOM renderer, because this is what Universal overrides. So we override the default DOM renderer. And so this is like an abstraction for you to, every time you want to interact with the DOM. So please, if you're not familiar, who is already using the DOM, the renderer, sorry? Okay, I expected more hands. So if you're using the DOM directly, your application might not render on the server because there is no DOM on the server, and the Angular Universal module tries to patch lots of the DOM API, like jQuery stuff or that sort of thing, but we don't support this. Please use the DOM renderer. Okay. So for now, I gave you an overview of what is Angular Universal, how it works with the server-side rendering stuff. But now let's talk about toolings and other cool projects. So if you want to get started with Angular Universal right now, you can download the starter by Patrick. You will also get an AOT support for free, the ahead of time compilation. Otherwise, coming soon, we'll have the CLI add-on. Who is using Angular CLI? Nice, you're lucky, Tracy. So, coming soon, we'll have a CLI add-on, so you can just use ng-new my app -- universal, and you will have all the code I showed you before, like, well, obviously for Node.js. So you will have all the boilerplates, actually. So for now, if you want to like experiment the CLI, you can install the universal-CLI. It's not an official one, but it's like kind of looks like the end one. So if you bootstrap if you like generate your application with -- universal, you will get server-side support, obviously, but on the fly. So every time the user requests a route, we will generate static version on the fly. Otherwise, you could use the -- universal pre-render if you want to like generate the whole static website for your app and deploy it on a CDN. And you also can use like all the default tasks like build, test, all the stuff. We are also thinking about getting like static documentation generator for like your ng-docs, maybe. So we're still thinking about it, but please stay tuned. So here I used the Angular-CLI sample, add-on, sorry. So as you can see, you have your typical application, but in addition to that, we give you the 4 files I just showed you before, the 2 modules and the client and server bootstrapping files. So for now, I was just talking about Node.js. I know that maybe some of you doesn't use Node.js on production, sadly. So for other backend technologies like the mainstream backends like Java, we had an issue for that. February, we were working with Pivotal, the guys behind the Spring framework. But I guess it was taking too much time, I guess. So from the latest news, I believe that the Angular team is taking over this issue. So Google might add support for Java with Universal. We have also a couple of other backends like PHP. There is an open issue for that. Go, PHP. So for now, we don't have like Python and Ruby. If some of you are interested in like giving us some help, please open an issue or ping us on Twitter. If you want to also like contribute to Java backend or Go or whatever you want, just let us know. For .NET, actually, there's already support for that. I guess his name is Steve. So Steve he managed to add support for .NET Core. So he wrote basically some bridges to be able to communicate between JavaScript runtime and .NET Core. I haven't tested yet, but if some of you are .NET developers, please give it a try. So for now, if you remember, the talk is about Angular outside the browser. But I was like talking from the start about server-side rendering. So okay, use Universal to fix the server-side rendering issue we had. So basically, that was the initial purpose behind Universal. But there is a couple of other projects. So before, actually, who's using ng-bootstrap? Really? No one? Okay. I expected more hands again. So yeah, basically, Powell added recently, like last month, support for Angular Universal for a couple of I guess, all the widgets in ng-bootstrap. So ng-bootstrap is a UI-based framework. So you get all these nice forms, tables, buttons, models, everything. And the ng Bootstrap team has managed to server-side render all widgets. So if you are using this with your Angular, there is no support for that. And I guess, I believe we will have also support for material design. I'm sure the team will add support for that. If you don't care about server-side rendering at all, you can still use Angular Universal to do some cool projects, cool stuff. Basically, you can use Angular Universal to run your Angular application on Node.js. If you don't care about server-side rendering, it's OK. You can still execute your application outside the browser, actually. So Uri is going to give a talk about Angular IoT. And I believe he's using Universal, so expect more from his talk. And finally, there is this project, the Angular Mobile Toolkit, which basically allows you to write progressive web app with Angular 2. So under the hood, the team uses Angular Universal to generate the application shell. So I'm not going to explain what is progressive web app, but basically it's a web application with offline support. I need to tell more, but OK, so if you're curious, there's the official site, universal.angular.io, which is just a proxy to the GitHub, so you should probably go directly to GitHub and check out all the issues, all the instructions, how to get in Universal. Final thing is we really love your contributions, so if any one of you like to help, please click on on this logo when you get the slides. It will redirect you to the issues pages. So take any issue you like. Give us please test Universal with your projects and give us really feedbacks for that. Wow. So thank you everyone. My name is Wassim. Thank you.